Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Dinella. I have 4 grown children, and I know how much they always like to be read to. Since all of you are out of school right now, I thought it would be nice if you could go to the computer every once in a while and have somebody read to you as well. So I've picked out some of their favorite old books, and I'm going to start recording them for you so that you can have access to these stories as well. The first one I'm going to read is called The Wishing Hat, an old favorite of theirs. It's by Annegret Fuchshuber, and it was originally written in German, but it was translated by a woman named Elizabeth D. Crawford. And this is a very fun old story. I think you'll enjoy it. The picture on the front shows the hero of the story, a man named Korbinian. He's in his apartment with his trusty old cat. By the way, I've never done this before, so please bear with me because I might not be great at getting you to all the places this needs to go as we're going through it. Here we go. One morning, Korbinian was very surprised to find a hat on the table in his apartment, high above the roofs of the big city. Now, who could have forgotten that, he wondered. He hadn't had any visitors for a long time, except Aunt Caroline, but she never took her hat off. Besides, this hat was much prettier than any of the 23 lavender hats Aunt Caroline owned, and it was yellow, too. After inspecting it carefully, Korbinian decided that it must be a wishing hat. There's the wishing hat in his apartment, and Korbinian looking at it, wondering what to do with it. Now, most people know what to do with a wishing hat, but Korbinian had to look it up in his old book of fairy tales first. Then he carefully put on the hat, closed his eyes, turned the hat 3 times the way one is supposed to, and wished for an apple tree in his living room. He had dreamed of having one for a long, long time. Presto! There was an apple tree growing out of the flowered rug, and it was full of ripe apples. Look how beautiful that apple tree is. Just beautiful. That afternoon, Aunt Caroline came to call. Of course, she saw the apple tree first thing, and she was quite upset. She clapped her hands and cried excitedly, "Now then, what's all this? What's all this?" To calm her, Korbinian told her about his wishing hat, but he didn't calm Aunt Caroline at all. "You simpleton," she scolded. "You should have wished for a bag of money." "I can do that any time," said Korbinian. There's Aunt Caroline. Not very happy looking, is she? When Korbinian got dressed on Tuesday morning, he saw to his great annoyance that his left sock had a hole in it again. Socks without feet would be much more practical, he thought. I have warm slippers anyhow, and socks without feet would never have holes in them. Quickly, he put on his wishing hat and wished for some socks, up to the knees and red striped, please, and without feet. They were on his feet before he had finished speaking. He hadn't even needed to bend over, and they pleased him very much indeed. There he is with his old sock with the hole in the toe. Doesn't look very comfortable. Right after breakfast, Mr. Snodgrass came to return a book he had borrowed from Korbinian. In greeting, Korbinian proudly stretched out his feet to show off his new socks, but Mr. Snodgrass wasn't very impressed with them. Perhaps the stripes bothered him, for he himself always wore gray. But Korbinian thought the stripes were just beautiful. Delightedly, he showed Mr. Snodgrass the apple tree and the wishing hat. "You simpleton," said Mr. Snodgrass, "you should have wished for a big car." "I can do that any time," said Korbinian. Look at those beautiful striped socks. And Mr. Snodgrass really does look awfully dull in all his gray. On Wednesday morning, Korbinian woke up with a dreadful stomach ache. It was probably because of the 12 apples he had eaten for supper on Tuesday. He put on his hat and wished for a basket, so he could send his cat shopping. The basket was there even before Korbinian had taken off the wishing hat. There was money in it, too. Korbinian put a note in it: 1 package of zwieback, ½ pound of bologna, peppermint tea, and then the cat walked off over the roofs. Look at the cat carrying that basket, going over the roofs of that city. That afternoon, the grocer came, panting up the many stairs. He wanted to know why Mr. Korbinian hadn't come shopping himself. Korbinian had taken a big cup of peppermint tea by that time and was keeping his stomach warm with the cat and a thick pillow. He was feeling much better. He told the grocer the secret of the basket, showed him the apple tree, and stretched out his feet with the new socks. "You simpleton!" said the grocer, laughing. "Ho, ho, ho, ho! You should have wished for a big house with a swimming pool." "I can do that any time," said Korbinian. There's the grocer. On Thursday, Korbinian was feeling well again. As a precaution, though, he ate only zwieback for breakfast. Then suddenly he felt like going for a walk. Why else have a wishing hat, he thought, and he wished for an umbrella that could fly him to wherever he wanted to go. But for the first time that week, nothing happened. Korbinian put the hat on again, and was just about to repeat his wish when there came a knock on the door. He opened it, and there stood his old black umbrella. "Ah, so that's it," said Korbinian. He opened his umbrella and wafted through the window with it. He wasn't dizzy at all, so he took a nice sightseeing trip around all the church towers of the city. Korbinian didn't get home from his trip until late afternoon. He was so delighted he did a little dance of pure joy, and then, one after the other, he hugged the umbrella, the hat, the cat, and the apple tree. Soon the woman from the 5th floor came upstairs. "What an unbearable racket!" she complained. Korbinian apologized politely and showed her the basket, the socks, the umbrella, the apple tree, and the hat. But the woman from the 5th floor wasn't at all sympathetic. "You simpleton!" she shouted. "You would have been better to wish for a modern kitchen." "I can do that any time," said Korbinian. That lady does not look pleased with Korbinian, does she? By the way, that sign says, "Careful, freshly waxed." Because Korbinian was in such a good mood, on Friday morning he wished for a flute. He couldn't play at all, but he thought that the wishing hat could probably give him a flute that would also teach him to play. The flute was really very patient and practiced with Korbinian, first A and then C. Soon he could play cuckoo, and he was very happy. And there he is playing his flute. That evening, Aunt Caroline paid another visit. She brought 2 friends with her this time to show them the unbelievable apple tree. Korbinian made coffee and then a little hesitantly brought out his treasures, the socks, the basket, the umbrella, the flute, and the hat. But he couldn't make any impression with them. "You simpleton!" jeered the 3 friends together. "You should have wished for a chest of jewels and a fur coat." "I can do that any time," said Korbinian. There are those 3 old ladies. The 3 old ladies each grabbed an apple and left. Korbinian was very angry. He put on his wishing hat, turned it around 3 times the way one is supposed to do, and wished that the stairs to his apartment would turn upside down. Immediately they turned themselves over, and from above they looked very nice. Satisfied, Korbinian went back into his apartment. Look at that. Isn't that interesting, the way those stairs look upside down? And nobody can come up to Korbinian's apartment now. He sat contentedly in his armchair under the apple tree, the cat on his lap. "Now I really have everything I need," he said, and he threw the hat out the window. And there he is, throwing the hat out the window with his beautiful apple tree, his plants, his cat in his lap, and everything that he needed. And that's the end of the story. And you know what that story tells us? Well, I'd like to know what you think it tells us. But to me, it says a couple of things. One is that you don't have to have money and cars and chests of jewels to be happy. You just have to have the things that make you feel good. And also, you don't have to listen to nasty people who don't think the same way that you do necessarily. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I will be back on other days to read you some more stories. In the meantime, stay safe and be well, everybody.